Hey, everybody, it's Wednesday. This is Marissa Alexander, and this is Thinking Out Loud. I'm so glad you could join me today. Today, we're going to be talking about what about your friends? Will they be around? But seriously, we're going to be talking about that just some specific things that came to my mind. And probably because I've noticed some I don't know, just conversation and chatter about people, friendships, and other things. Kind of, I don't know, either people not really knowing how to be there when people are going through things. And as you know, 2020 was a really, really tough year. So I'm gonna really just double down on like, what's your circle like? Um, just some things to consider because I know that some of us, including myself, tend to be a bit of a loner, but I absolutely have a solid circle of what I would call my circumference of people that are, know me well, and I know them well, and it really works well for me. And in my instance, I haven't known them as long, but they kind of were added to my circumference of friends later on in my life, and that was born out of my situation. Some people have had friends for years since high school. I think my sister's like one of them. So, we're going to talk a little bit about that because as we grow and we mature and life happens, sometimes we change, our loyalties change and different things, we grow apart. But considering everything that has been happening, at least from the standpoint of the increased stressors due to COVID-19, I just was curious how people are kind of handling things in terms of their friendships or the lack thereof. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And honestly, it was more or less about people going through things. And my initial thought was don't let your people get separated from the pack because I kind of got this idea and I'll get into it. But let me tell you about this statistic really quick. So, of the friendships affected by COVID-19, there was a survey done, and they said 67% of the people didn't feel like COVID affected their relationships any. And then 33% of them said that their relationships had changed. And 47% of them felt like those friendships had grown closer as a result of COVID 19. So let me know if that has been the case with some of your friendships. I can't say that mine changed for the negative or better because they were pretty solid to begin with. But I do know that adversity can grow some friendships and some relationships. So if that is something that you experience, let me know. What's up? Hey, how y'all doing? All right. So this is what I was thinking about when I first was thinking about this topic. Okay. So you know how like in the jungle, the wild and nature, there's pack animals and or herds and well, herds, and they're either flocks or packs or pride like lions. And so ideally, it's for survival. Ideally, it's for survival. So, they tend to need to be in groups to ensure safety, to ensure that they're not attacked from prey or predators, I should say, predators, and also that they are in close proximity for making sure that everybody eats and everybody's taken care of. So when one is eating, the other one's watching. But most importantly, they stay as a herd, and it's more beneficial to their survival that they do it. And I got to thinking about, in really rough times, how we, we tend to need to do that more. I think, humans, people have the, we tend to we get more separated and isolated. But I got to thinking about people who were, and it's a dangerous time, and that's what led me to don't let your people get separated from the pack, because obviously in the wild, and say for instance like what like lions and things of that nature, Zebras don't, they move together, they eat together, they do everything together to ensure their survival. And one of them is safety in numbers. So I got to thinking about people who get isolated when they go through things and they have challenges. And sometimes because of the nature of life, we get separated, and those people end up really suffering alone in a lot of spaces. And some people, endure depression. Some people could have benefited from help from their herd, from their pack, but their friends, but didn't, for some reason or another, what life would have it, that they were separated. And so things, happen that affect people. And so that's what made me kind of come up with this topic, because I am very grateful that in some of my most in the bottom of the well, oh my gosh, like some of the most difficult times that I have had, and that I have been able to have people who I know that I can say, I can call on them, and the first thing out of their mouth is, I'm gonna pray for you. And I don't know about you all. If you have that, God bless you. You have a treat, and they actually do it. That not actually be the prayer, because that means everything, in those times. So that is kind of where I derived this topic from. So, let's just talk about the benefits of close friendships, solid circles. I think we all need them. Listen, we need each other, and there is not a person on this earth that doesn't need somebody for survival. Like we do. And even for us to be successful, we need each other. Even if it's just a business venture, we need each other. You know what I mean? So, it takes a village. It takes a village. Like we got to get back to that whole thing. So I was thinking about that. So just some of the benefits. Good friends teach you about yourself. Good friends teach you about yourself in a very loving way. They challenge you to do better. And they don't do that with judgment. They do that because they love you, and they know you well enough, hopefully, that they know that you are shortchanging yourself, so they know you can do better. They have a positive impact on your life. If anybody's not having in your circle that is close to you, that has access to you, that you feel like that is in your inner circle, and they're not being at least positive, because I don't believe that every person that's closely to me adds some type of value that I can quantify. I don't think that's the case, at least not for me. But what I do know is that they're consistent, positive, and even when they're going through things, we know we can be there for one another. That's a different type of thing, because that's a need, that's support. But if somebody's always got some, something going on, it's negative, it's just foolishness, you might want to question how close they are to you, because that stuff has a way of draining. So that's just something to think about. They encourage good behaviors. Some of you all's friends encourage bad behaviors, but that's kind of the nature of y'all friendship. Y'all kind of reel each other in, but some of you all you have a bonding experience over certain things, as long as it's not hurting anybody else. And I get that. I'm not here to play like the holy roller here, like I don't understand some of the things. I get it. But for the most part, they encourage, positive behaviors. They support you, they encourage you, they uplift you. And so these are the people that are going to create or help you build confidence, because they are supportive of the things that you're trying to do, your endeavors and different things like that. They are your cheerleaders. There's one thing to have a friend that says, okay. And that friend to bounce things off of because they have experience. That's one thing. But to have a friend that's always, throwing, these wrenches in there and calling it brainstorming, be careful of that, because sometimes people project their fears, and sometimes they just don't want to see you doing good. So you might want to think about that too. But I think you'll know by the time they're that close. I'm hoping we have gained wisdom. We have gained wisdom to know whether or not to share certain things. But if there's anybody in my inner circle that's close to me, I want to be able to share that. I don't want to be second guessing about that. So, that's something to think about. Friends push you to be your best. And what I mean by that is, like, they have a way of knowing what you're capable of doing and realizing when you need to be held accountable if you're not doing it. and they have a way to care front you about that, and that's a blessing. That's a blessing to be able to have somebody be like, I don't know, I would have handled that a different way, or you know what, you kind of seem like you got comfortable. What's going on? You know, because I know you're capable of doing this. I remember you said you wanted to do that. That is one of like the benefits of having, you know, a really good friend. The one that I think that I have seen for myself is that the ones that are close to me have helped me mold myself into the best version of myself. And you know, it's not only because they, you know, hold me accountable, but because they know what they're praying for, and they also exemplify like queen-minded behavior, what we like to call queen consciousness. And so I admire the way they move, their integrity, how they interact with people, how they, you know, choose to address situations, how I'm able to say things in their presence without judgment, and I can be vulnerable and not feel like the information that I share with them will be used against me. And that's huge, because that's a big part of helping us become our best version of ourselves, which is also the same that I would do for those in my circumference, in that circle. You know what I mean? So that was just some of the few things that, you know, I wanted to share with you. Tell me about your friendships. Tell me about some of the ones that you feel like this is absolutely necessary for me. We're solid. It's my ace boom because of that, like, or whatever the case. Tell me what it is like for you when there is an understanding that needs no explanation. What is that like for you and your crew? Do you have that? If you don't have that, what is your main reason for not? Let me know, because I'm gonna check it out later. All right. Now let's talk about the lack of friends. And I don't want to use that term loosely, because to me, friendship is a lot different than associates and acquaintances. So that, you know, we hear that all the time, but I know we have friends lists, Facebook friends. So you know how that goes. But I noticed that there's a tendency for people to be like, you know, the solo dolo thing, which is not a bad thing. I understand like having a lot of people keeps up stuff, or has the propensity to do that, right? But you know, there's several different type of people. So there's some people who have a lot of just people that they gravitate to. They are social people, and not everybody is their friend, their close friend, but they're social people, so they can deal and handle superficial surface relationships pretty well. And then they have their solid core. Okay, that's group A. Then over here you have group B, and those people tend to be a lot more, you know, extroverted and a lot more cautious. Some of us, me, are empaths. And so that level of, you know, isolation doesn't necessarily bother us. And when we might enjoy our time by ourselves, and then we get with a few people and that works. So that's that other group. But then I think I'm talking about people who are literally like all about being completely separated, or they tend to struggle with connecting, and you'll hear them, because you should probably see them on Facebook now. I was like, well, so did me wrong. And it's like this every week for a year, maybe some years. You know, I'm always there for everybody, not there. And I'm not saying that's not true. But what I am saying is that something that needs some recalibration, right? And what exactly is going on, because there's a common denominator that's been going on for so long. And so, you know, to think about that. And then the reason why that's important is because what we don't want to do is completely remove ourselves from something where we probably have a spiritual blind spot, a character defect that we have to work on. And it doesn't mean your friends should completely isolate themselves from you, but if that's something that's a repeated pattern, you're gonna have to check that, right? And perhaps maybe the ones in your circle were trying to, and maybe you were not in the time in your life where you were receiving, but that's personal work, you know. And I think we, to some degree, have all been there. You know what I mean? Just depending on, you know, how your circle rolls. But there's a lot of people that I see that are consistently by themselves. Maybe they like it. If you're one of those people, let me know. But I also see that there's a bit of a cloud that kind of follows them from time to time. And I'm not thinking that that's always to do with not having friends, but just things are going on in your life. Things are going on in your life. There's a lot going on in 2020, a lot of suffering. I mean, it was before that, but it really peaked and it was more intense due to COVID. And then, of course, racial tensions that took place, so much job loss, so much eviction. I mean, poverty, education was a struggle. I mean, we see so many things within our infrastructure that was exposed as being vulnerable because of that. So the fallout of those things is that it affects people. It affects people. And so when we don't have a community of people, especially like really close friends, when we're going through, right, that circle, going through those things can be incredibly difficult and will be exacerbated by the fact that we don't have an inner circle, a circumference of solid people who are going to be there when you're sick and is going to call on you. I think I seen a post today about a young lady who had she had colon cancer, and she went through a list of the friends. She already had friends, but she specifically named out a core of people and the levels of support in their personality that helped her get through. I can't remember the sister's name, but God bless you. And that's important during those times. So it's not always just those type of times. It's just that sometimes when you're going through the fight of your life, and I know what that's like. I know what it's like to go through the fight of your life and find out who your real friends are. And I think many of you probably have experienced that. Let me know. Tell me if you've experienced it. What did you do? Because I can tell you what I did. I didn't become bitter. I didn't feel no kinds of way about it. And you know why? Because when you're in the fight of your life, you absolutely do not have the energy to sit and survive and sulk about who is not around. You just really have to be grateful for who is and what God is showing you moving forward. That's just my personal experience. And so everybody that was there in the way that they could be, because some people were not like, I didn't measure your loyalty to me, and I ain't that person about how many times you contacted me. And if you did, that wasn't even the case for me. It didn't even matter. Like some people just didn't even know what to say. I get that. But just recognizing experiences where, things and people that I thought were solid were not. And that was okay. Because those are times that you grow apart. Those are seasons. And so it's important not to force those. Let me say that. But I was grateful that I wasn't isolated because I had a core. And what I'm saying is there are people out here who are going through things, and the core of people that they thought they had, they're not sure if they have them for whatever reason, legitimate or not. And what I'm saying to you is life is short, really, really short, really, really precious. Time is the one thing we can't get back. And if at all possible, when you see somebody separated from the pack or isolating themselves from the pack, don't take it personal. Because sometimes we have to invite them in. Sometimes we have to go an extra above and beyond. And you can make that decision on how often that needs to be done, and the reciprocity of that friendship. You're going to have more historical context than I would. But for me, I recognize sometimes I've seen where, people that I was close to, could drift away. And sometimes I would reach out, hey, you was on my mind, and just sending you a message, and you don't got to respond, just letting you know you were on my mind. Sometimes that's just enough. And don't expect for them to respond. And you don't need an explanation either. I mean, sometimes it is just that difficult for them to open up their eyes and get out the bed in the morning, let alone have to type up a text or answer a phone call. It's just that hard. And so sometimes we have to be willing to be flexible about the way people go through those experiences, and really think about our intent as a friend. As a friend, my intent is not going to be to keep score on whether or not you called me back when I'm not doing that. I don't have my life set up right now in a way where the people that are close to me, that's something I have to think about. You know what I mean? So maybe you have to reevaluate what is in your circle, the closeness, and how that looks for you. But what I really want us to be mindful of is that there is people out here who are suffering secret battles that they will not share, because there's a lot of condemnation, and sometimes judgment and just pure lack don't understand. So that's one thing. The other thing is maybe humble ourselves to be able to meet somebody where they are, because some people don't handle, like, the degree of what I can handle now is a whole hell of a lot different than what I could handle then. Let me just tell you that. And so as a wounded healer, I know when to take a rest and heal myself. And the people that are close to me know that. And so that's the blessing in having that circle, but have a circle and figure out a way to be each other balanced during that time. And hopefully the people that are close to you know you well enough to know and not take things personal, and everybody can support, encourage, let me get your kids, let me pick you up this, not do too much when the person has reached their breaking point, know them well enough to know, okay, we ease up. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. We need it. We need it if we're going to survive. And we can't get stuck in taking stuff personal when people are out here suffering. That's all I'm going to say about that. So let me know what your thoughts are. I'm going to see some of y'all comments because y'all are, yes. Love it when y'all engage. Hey, Davey, Stephen, Mike, Thornton. Hi, y'all. Let's see. Mike says, to know yourself is to know mankind. To know mankind is to know yourself. Love yourself. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. No, love yourself as you love. No, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Hopefully y'all love yourself. That's part of the problem right there. Carissa Hawkins, real friendships are built over time. Some of them are. All the hype behind sis or sus, homegirl, bestie, etc. is BS. Okay. Your true friends will reveal themselves during your most difficult times. That has to be true. And you know, different strokes with different folks, Carissa. Some people, I have a bestie, and I didn't find my bestie until I was 30 in jail. First letter I got, first person to put money on my books, and we wrote every day. I wish I could get up and show you the boxes, and that is my absolute bestie. So that's what I chose. I call her. I don't call everybody that, you know, to each his own and what it means to you. But to me, so much not about the title as much as it's about the actions and the effort. Those show themselves over a consistent part of time as well. Let's see here. Thank you. So let's see, Jill. So true, Marissa Alexander. Thank you. You're amazing, and I appreciate that. And I'm blessed and lucky to have the most beautiful, courageous love. I appreciate that. I try. Rough times creates a good character. So that's about it. What are some of the things that I'm trying to think of some things that I can share. You know what? I think that there has been times where some friendships have dissolved, and and sometimes you grow apart, and that's okay. And I want to say this last bit about isolation, and sometimes where, things are, shifting in the circles because life changes and people grow and get married and things happen and so on and so forth. And, if ever you find yourself in a situation where, a circle of people and you are not where you used to be for whatever the reason, I would say the first thing I would do is look at self, because it's much easier to look outwards than it is to look inward. I would say start there, especially if you see like a pattern or a consistency. Be open for feedback and critique. I'm praying you're getting it in love, but be open to that. I have had my ASS read a few times for people who care about me. And, it was never ugly and disrespectful. Let me say that. It was always very respectful. But I had to just take it on the chin like a grown woman because I want to be a grown woman about my business. There has also been instances where I felt like I had outgrown friendships. And instead of it being an inviting, it appeared that it might have been some intimidation. And therefore, because of that place where they were in their life, it maybe have felt like a threat. And that's a very uncomfortable position to be in for anybody. And sometimes you just have to allow the ship to sail and not be, and not hold anybody like, feeling any kind of way about it. Sometimes that's just the way it is. That's just life. So, let me know if that's happened to you. There's been some instances where there's been an age difference and we were in completely different journeys of our life. There's been instances where things, people's life just go on, we drift apart and it's, we drift back together. And I'm always willing to be like, hey, with somebody, I'm never like, oh, and I ain't keeping score. Y'all life too short. You know what I mean? I think it's a difference between being able to see somebody's behavior patterns and consistent choices that may be harmful to me and deciding that is not what I want to do versus, somebody just kind of going through and being who they are and me accepting them in their totality. And that's just, a matter of choice and maturity sometimes. And sometimes you get burned, but that's life. Tell me somebody who ain't made mistakes and I'll tell you somebody that's lying. They're not successful either. So that's just life. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for y'all tonight. I just wanted to make sure I reiterate that don't let your people get separated from the pack. We need each other. Understand and really evaluate what really good, solid circle of friends are. And everybody on the perimeter of that solid circle isn't going to handle you the same way your core is. So we need to make sure we know the difference. The other thing is just, making sure that we reach out and we invite people in. And when you're going through, I know asking for help is one of the hardest things to do. But I'm praying that you have people close to you can just fall on your sword with and be completely vulnerable. And they will help you without waving a flag into the entire world that they did it. You know what I'm saying? I really pray that you have that for you all. In your lives. I'm gonna leave you this scripture I love. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a lifetime of adversity. So you're really good friends. You all gonna have some matchups. It's love and not disrespect. It's accountability, but definitely we need that, and I'm hoping you have that, and for yourselves in your lives, at least with your inner circle. You know what I'm saying? So y'all, thank y'all for joining me, hanging out. Make sure you go to marissaalexander.com and sign up. I have a website where you can subscribe, exclusive information about my upcoming book and other events that I will be doing. So make sure, because if you're on that email list, you'll be getting those things. Some of those things I will not post. It'll be exclusive to the people that are on that list. I'm excited. I hope you are too. If you're not, we're going to get you there. How about that? Y'all have a good night. Happy Cinco de Mayo for those who celebrate, and for those who celebrate Cinco de Negro. Hey, more fun to you. Peace out.